There's so much to be frustrated about with modern AAA gaming, not least the fact you often have to fork out hundreds of pounds for the latest console or PC component. The good news is there are already tons of games in your backlog you can make the most of with a simple entry-level mini PC. Well, that's at least the hypothesis, but to help me test it out, NiPoGi have sent me out their latest AK1Plus mini PC with an N100 chip, and we're going to run through different games and see exactly how well it can handle them. The AK1Plus comes with a 12th gen Alder Lake M100 processor capable of a max speed of 3.4 GHz. We've also got 16GB of RAM and 512GB of storage. I've been running this PC with an Azorpa portable monitor that's capable of 1080p at 144Hz, but you do have two HDMI 2.0 ports on the back of this PC, and that can output to two separate displays at 4K. Alongside that, you've got two USB 3.2 Type A ports and two USB 3 Type A ports, as well as space for an Ethernet cable and of course a headphone jack. Beyond all those specs though, this is very much an entry-level PC. It comes with Windows 11 Pro, and if you want to use this as your main kind of productivity computer and just play games on the side, then a couple of tabletop games could go really well on this mini PC. Of course, Balatro is not the most power intensive game ever, but if you've only ever played this on your phone or a small handheld, then putting it up on a much larger screen and running it at 120 frames per second is a really lively and beautiful experience. Playing it on a much larger screen can actually replicate that feeling of being in a casino a little bit better, and you get to see how all of those little shaders are interacting in Balatro to create this beautiful effect. It looks really vivid on this screen in particular. Likewise, another tabletop game that I love playing is Twilight Struggle. This is beautiful on this big screen and it runs incredibly smoothly even on high animation mode. Something about it must be special because I absolutely battered the computer running at 85 frames per second during my test run for this video. And because you've got that Ethernet cable, it does mean you can play it online and have a really stable connection with friends too. But okay, that was a pretty easy test just to warm up. Now it's time to look at some modern indie games that would actually push the boundaries of the M100 chip. A game that you can just about run on this PC is Blueprints. While it feels like a simple game, it's actually got really rich, detailed visuals, and it can be a bit of a challenge for the M100. I was getting between 25 and 30 frames per second running it on this setup. It really struggled to keep a stable frame rate and there were lots of stutters going through this game. You could absolutely play it, but you'd get a much better experience on something like a Steam Deck. One game this computer absolutely could not handle though was ETE. To be fair, I wasn't expecting this to do well because my Lenovo Legion Go actually struggled with ETE as well. It is quite a difficult game to render with so many different colourful artifacts in the game world itself. But this was a real disappointment on this PC, running at around 15 to 20 frames per second and absolutely unplayable and really ugly on the lowest possible settings. Kind of defeats the object of the game. You can, however, get a fairly decent experience out of Hades, running at 40 frames per second, fairly stable, and if only I was actually good at keyboard gaming, I might be able to get further into the maze. Where it all then becomes a little bit more surprising is that if you dip back into the annals of gaming history, you can actually play some really amazing games at great speeds and quality. I always like to test Valkyria Chronicles just so I get consistency between the devices I'm testing, and it runs really well on this mini PC. This is a Dreamcast era game and it runs at a locked 30 frames per second, which doesn't really matter because it's turn-based and generally quite slow, but it looks beautiful on this display and I'm actually really impressed that this PC is able to run it in such a nice way. I've also been running Half-Life at a solid 100 frames per second, and yeah, again, it runs really well on this PC. So this is definitely a system that could run those Backlog gems, and if you wanted to mount it to the back of your TV using the VESA mount that it comes with, then you could actually have an amazing little indie gamer Backlog destroyer just plugged into your TV really discreetly, and for a lot of people I feel like that is more than enough. And look, if all you want to do is stream something like Game Pass, then you don't have to go out and buy an expensive Xbox to do that. You can just pick up a mini PC like this and it will be absolutely fine. The AK1 Pro is on sale as of today, and if you check out the link in my description, there's a discount code there which will save you 10% until the end of July. Thanks again to NiPoGi for sending out this mini PC, And thanks to you for watching. I'll see you in a bit.